So get this, back in 1835, this young French aristocrat comes to America and he writes a book that basically predicts the biggest anxieties of our world today. I mean, with stunning accuracy. It's part travel journal, part sociology, and honestly, part prophecy. Today, we're going to crack open the big ideas from Alexis to Tocqueville's Democracy in America, a book that, you'll see, might just understand our times better than we do.
Right from the get-go, Tocqueville believed he had found a kind of master key, a single idea that unlocked the entire modern world. And that's what you see in this quote. He called it the equality of conditions. For him, pretty much everything, our laws, our politics, how we live our lives, it all grew out of this one single fact. It was the engine pushing history forward, and it was absolutely relentless.
So, what was his big diagnosis of the modern age? Well, Tocqueville didn't see the rise of democracy as just another political option. No, he saw it as a providential fact, something almost like an act of God. He argued that this massive push towards equality was the oldest, most permanent trend in history, and trying to stop it, he said that would be like picking a fight with God himself. Good luck with that. Now, it is so important to understand what he meant by equality of conditions. This isn't about everyone having the same bank account, not at all. It's about the total collapse of the old world, the aristocratic order. Think about it like this. Inheritance laws. Instead of all the land and money going to the oldest son, it now gets split up between all the kids. Just that one little change breaks up huge fortunes over a generation or two and makes it impossible for a permanent noble class to exist. It's a huge shift in how society works, where your ambition suddenly matters a whole lot more than who your parents were.
And for Tocqueville, this wasn't some new thing that just popped up. He traced this democratic revolution all the way back 700 years. He argued that basically every major event in history, from the church letting commoners become priests to the invention of the printing press, all the way to the discovery of America, was just another step in this unstoppable march toward equality.
Okay, so if this was a global thing, why go all the way to America? Well, because Tocqueville saw the United States as the perfect laboratory. It was the one place on Earth where this democratic revolution had reached its peak, and it did it peacefully, without all the baggage of having to overthrow a king or tear down an ancient feudal system.
He wasn't just there to study America, you know? He was searching for the image of democracy itself. This brand new nation was the ultimate case study. He figured if he could just watch how it worked, its successes, and, maybe more importantly, its dangers, he could give Europe a sneak peek of the future that was coming for them too.
And what he found? Well, it wasn't all good news. Tocqueville pinpointed this unique disease, a sickness baked right into the DNA of democracy itself. It was something he feared way more than any king or dictator. He gave it a name, the tyranny of the majority. He was convinced that democracy's darkest secret was hiding in plain sight, right inside its greatest strength, the idea of majority rule. But how on earth could the will of the people become a form of tyranny?
And here is the key distinction, the part that's truly chilling. This isn't a tyranny of laws and prisons. It's a tyranny over your mind. See, under an old king, he could throw you in a dungeon, but he couldn't really control what you thought. But in a democracy, Tocqueville warned, the pressure from public opinion is so massive that it builds a wall around your thoughts. It doesn't need chains. It just isolates you. It makes you an outcast until you lose, as he says, even the wish to share an idea that goes against the crowd.
This quote just nails the terrifying power of this new kind of tyranny. It doesn't kill you, but it kind of enslaves your soul. The punishment for thinking differently isn't the executioner's axe. It's social death. You're cut off, made powerless, by the very same neighbors who claim to believe in freedom. But, and this is a big but, Tocqueville wasn't a pessimist. He believed America also held the cure for its own disease. He was like a political doctor, carefully taking notes on what he saw as the nation's immune system, the specific things that fought back against the tyranny of the majority and kept liberty breathing. He basically laid out three main safeguards. First, you had geography, this huge, open continent that acted like a safety valve for social pressure. Second, the laws, things like the federal system and a powerful judiciary designed to put the brakes on the majority's impulses. But it was the third one that he thought was the most important of all, the mores, the customs, the habits, the whole civic spirit of the American people. And he was crystal clear about how he ranked these. For Tocqueville, the land and even the Constitution were way less important than the mores. He called these the habits of the heart. Things like religious faith,
the spirit of local government, this incredible energy for forming clubs and associations for everything, that was the real foundation of American freedom. That was the best defense against the tyranny of the majority.
So why are we still obsessing over a book written nearly 200 years ago? Because Tocqueville's prognosis for democracy, his warnings about where it was all heading, reads like he was writing it this morning about our 21st century world. It's wild.
I mean, just look at the parallels here. His fear of the tyranny of the majority, that sounds exactly like a description of social media echo chambers and cancel culture. His warning that a restless individualism could lead to people feeling isolated, that's the entire modern conversation we're having about the loneliness epidemic. And the decline of local associations, we talk about that all the time as the collapse of civic life. He saw the dark side with a clarity that is honestly terrifying.
You know, the ultimate question Tocqueville left us with was whether a society could be both equal and free. He saw that it was possible in America, but it was absolutely not a guarantee. And his work leaves us staring at that very same urgent question today. In our own democratic world, are the safeguards for our liberty still stronger than the pressures toward tyranny?
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.